What's going on, everyone? So let's talk about stereotypes, specifically stereotypes that have to do with single men over 40. There's a lot of stereotypes out there, so if there's any that I don't cover in this video, please, by all means, feel free to leave a comment down below. Now, before I get started, I will say that some of these stereotypes exist for a reason, and while some of them are true and apply to some men, they don't always apply to all men. And I know that you're smart enough to know that already, but just please keep this in mind as we work through this list. Okay, the first stereotype is that men over 40 are just stuck in their ways. And the funny thing about this one is it doesn't only just apply to men, but women also. But for some reason, men seem to have the bigger stereotype. Now, I will admit that the older we all get, the more we do value our everyday methods and routines, and there's really nothing wrong with that. I think where this stereotype comes in and where those routines can cause problems is if your routines start to affect your social life and your relationships. Because think about it, if you're so stuck in your routine of sitting on the couch and watching your favorite television show every single night at 7:30, and you're not willing to budge on that, and that prevents you from maybe going bowling with your friends or having a last minute game night over at your neighbor's house, then yes, that, in my opinion, is entirely too set in your ways and too stuck in your own routine. However, this does not apply to all men because, for me personally, I'm 100% all about last minute plans and being spontaneous. And I firmly believe that being spontaneous and kind of going with the flow sometimes can lead to some of the best experiences that you can have. And I talk about this all the time in videos, but being open to new possibilities and saying yes to new opportunities can fill your life with energy, excitement, and enthusiasm because you never know what the next day or the next hour can bring. And the next stereotype is that single men over 40 are players. All these guys do is just go out and date as many women as they possibly can, sleep with as many women as they possibly can, all for just the thrill of it. It's like there's no regard for the women that they're going out with. It's all just casual relationships and casual sex with as many women as possible. Now, the one thing that I will say about this is that if these guys are not upfront about what they're looking for, or if they lead women on, or worse yet, lie to them about what they're looking for in this relationship, then these guys are nothing more than douchebags. However, if these guys are open and honest about just wanting casual relationships, not wanting anything serious, and they let them know that they're just looking to have fun, and if the women are okay with that, what's the problem? Because a lot of times, especially within this older demographic, women are looking for the exact same thing. So if both parties are cool with it, I say go for it. Okay, the next stereotype is that older men just can't cook for themselves. And you know as well as I do that that's completely false, for the most part. And I hate that I have to admit this, but I've admitted to it before, but I resemble that stereotype. Cooking just isn't something that I put a lot of effort and energy into. But yes, of course, I can cook certain things and I do know how to use the stove. But because I live a busy lifestyle, what's been working well for me is meal delivery services like the one from today's video sponsor, Factor. And I've talked about Factor in other videos because they deliver fresh, never frozen, dietitian-approved meals right to your doorstep, which saves me a lot of time. Their team of gourmet chefs create each meal using only ingredients with integrity. And because this is a very busy fall season for me specifically, I can count on Factor for fast, tasty meals that fit within my lifestyle. With Factor, there's no prep and no mess. Factor cuts out stressful meal planning and prepping, so all the meals come together in just minutes. And this takes all the guesswork out of trying to figure out what to make for breakfast or lunch or dinner. Factor meals arrive pre-prepared and ready to eat in just 2 minutes, which is way faster than ordering food in. And I love how Factor is super flexible, so I can easily adjust my order size or even skip a week if I'm gonna be out of town. All the meals are incredibly delicious and they're becoming my go-to lunch and dinner solution. So if you're interested in checking this out, just head over to go.factor75.com/fashion60 and use code fashion60 to get 60% off your first Factor box. That's go.factor75.com/fashion60 and then use code fashion60 to get 60% off your first box. Thank you, Factor, for supporting my channel and sponsoring this video. All right, the next stereotype is that all older men want younger women. All right, you kind of got me on this one, but I will say it doesn't always apply. But of course, the majority of older men do prefer younger women. I think at some point though, and this might not apply to all guys, of course, but if this guy chooses to settle down with a younger woman, I would think that she would need to have a good head on her shoulders and be mature for her age. And I think there's a lot to unpack with this one, so maybe I'll save all this for another video. Now, the next stereotype is that older single men are selfish and materialistic. And I'm not so sure about this one, and here's why. I think that men, especially right now in today's world, are focusing on themselves a lot more than they have in the past. Men are spending a lot more time, a lot more energy right now trying to build themselves up, work on their career, and get their finances in order. And on the surface, that might appear as being selfish, but really, is it? And to be fair, I think that I fit this mold pretty closely, and it's not that I'm being selfish. I'm just doing what I need to do to take care of myself, because in my life right now, I am 100% responsible for my own well-being and my own happiness. And as far as being materialistic, a lot of these guys are working very hard and they're finding success. And there's nothing wrong with having a few possessions or objects that are like treats for yourself and rewards for working hard and making things happen for yourself. And that is not being materialistic. Okay, another stereotype is that older single men are lonely and depressed. And sure, that might be true for some, but don't confuse being alone for being lonely. There's a massive difference. A lot of men are choosing to be alone, and of course, there's a lot of reasons why, but that doesn't mean that they're lonely. Once again, take me for example. If you see me out to dinner, sitting at the bar by myself, it's easy to look at me and assume that I'm lonely because I'm sitting there by myself. That would be the wrong assumption. And look, man, I've said before in a lot of videos, but you don't need a permission slip or approval from anyone to go out to dinner or go do whatever it is that you want to go do. Okay, the next one is that older single men are hard to get close to because they've been hurt by past relationships and divorce, so they won't let any new relationships with women get too close. This is a really big one, and while it's not true for everyone, it is true for a lot of guys. And this might be another reason for that whole player stereotype, right? If they've been hurt in the past, they're going to do everything they can to prevent that from happening to them again. I mean, these guys still want female companionship, but only up to the point where commitment comes in, because a lot of these guys are simply not willing to get hurt and put through the ringer again. And hey, before you go, if you made it this far, you are one of the true legends, and I appreciate you. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing, because I'm here twice a week with brand new videos. And with that, my friends, as always, thank you so much for watching. Live well, and I'll see you in the next one.